You want to know the most dangerous person in the room. It's not the loud one. It's not the flashy one. It's the consistent one. Consistency is quiet. It doesn't ask for applause. It doesn't beg for attention. It just shows up again and again and again. See, motivation is fun, but it burns out. Discipline is hard, but it builds muscle. Consistency. That's what transforms you. Consistency is the silent force that turns small daily actions into unstoppable power. It is not about grand gestures or explosive breakthroughs. It is about the slow, steady drip that carves stone, the quiet steps that add up to a marathon, the unseen hours that build something unshakable. People often look for instant results, for the big wins, for the moments of glory, but what truly shapes a person into someone unstoppable is the decision to return again and again to the same process, the same discipline, the same effort, even when it feels invisible to the world. Consistency is not glamorous, but it is the most reliable builder of power. Think about it. You do a small thing once. It feels good, but it doesn't change much. You do it twice. It builds a little confidence, but still not enough to transform you. Then you do it a third time, a 10th time, a 100th time, and suddenly the compound effect shows up. Suddenly, the thing that once felt like effort becomes second nature. That's the force of consistency, a force so quiet and persistent that it sneaks up on you until one day you realize you're not who you used to be. That's transformation, and transformation never announces itself at the beginning. It comes at the end of a long stretch of repeated actions. Every habit you build, every discipline you practice, every routine you commit to, it might feel small, but consistency turns those small actions into weapons. Reading a few pages a day turns into wisdom. Practicing a skill every night turns into mastery. Training your body every morning turns into strength, and strength multiplies. Mastery compounds. Wisdom expands. What felt like a small action becomes unstoppable power. It's not the action itself, it's the repetition of the action. It's not the speed of the journey, it's the rhythm of the steps. The world tends to glorify the highlight moments, the championships, the promotions, the public recognition. But behind every one of those moments is a long trail of consistent choices. Behind the athlete's victory is 1,000 mornings of training. Behind the entrepreneur's success is countless nights of building. Behind the speaker's powerful message is endless hours of writing, editing, and practicing. And when people see the end result, they call it talent, they call it genius, they call it luck. But in reality, it was consistency, the silent force that nobody noticed until it showed its unstoppable power. Consistency doesn't care about moods. It doesn't ask how you feel. It doesn't wait for motivation to strike. It doesn't stop when circumstances shift. It demands that you show up anyway, and in showing up, you build resilience. That's why consistent people are dangerous, because they've trained themselves to keep going regardless of feelings, regardless of setbacks, regardless of applause. Consistency builds grit, and grit builds power that cannot be faked. You can fake talent, you can fake charm, but you can't fake consistency. There is a shift that happens when you choose consistency. At first, it feels like discipline. You have to push yourself, force yourself, fight the resistance. But over time, the very thing that was once difficult becomes automatic. Consistency turns effort into identity. You no longer just run, you are a runner. You no longer just write, you are a writer. You no longer just practice, you are a professional. And once it becomes your identity, it stops being a decision and starts being who you are. That is the true transformation. The point when consistency has rewired your mind, your body, your habits, and your character into someone different. Small daily actions seem insignificant in the moment. One workout doesn't change your body. One conversation doesn't fix a relationship. 1 hour of practice doesn't create mastery. But consistency is patient, and patience is powerful. One workout repeated every day for a year changes everything. One meaningful conversation consistently nurtured strengthens bonds forever. 1 hour of practice repeated every night makes you exceptional. And the people who underestimate small actions never see the monster being built in the background until one day the results are undeniable. The secret about consistency is that it doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to be present. You don't have to crush it every day. You don't have to set records. You don't have to outperform everyone else. You just have to show up, put in the work, and let time do its work on your effort. Because consistency combined with time is exponential. What starts as small becomes unstoppable because time multiplies whatever you feed it. Feed it inconsistency and you get frustration. Feed it excuses and you get regret. Feed it discipline and you get transformation. Consistency is the silent killer of doubt. The first time you try something, doubt screams. The second time, it whispers. The 10th time, it loses its voice. When you are consistent, you no longer have to wrestle with, can I do this? Because the evidence is in your actions. You've done it before. You're doing it again. And you'll do it tomorrow. That quiet confidence is what consistency creates, and that confidence is power. Because while others hesitate, you're already moving. While others are planning, you're executing. While others are waiting for the perfect moment, you're creating it by showing up. Consistency is the unseen discipline that makes everything else possible. It is the doorway through which growth enters. Without consistency, talent goes to waste. Without consistency, opportunities slip away. Without consistency, dreams stay dreams. But with consistency, everything changes. It doesn't matter if you're the most gifted or the smartest or the most connected. If you're consistent, you will outlast them, you will outwork them, you will outperform them. That's why consistency is the silent force that turns small daily actions into unstoppable power. When you commit to showing up every day, you stop competing with others. You start outlasting them. Most people live their lives in bursts. They show up when they feel motivated. They give effort when things are convenient. They pour energy into something for a week, a month, maybe a season, and then they fall away. They burn hot and then they burn out. But the person who keeps showing up long after the spark fades, long after the motivation disappears, long after the crowd has stopped watching, that person becomes something different. That person stops running the same race as everyone else. They stop competing because they know that true transformation doesn't come from intensity alone, it comes from longevity. And longevity is built by consistency. When you commit to showing up every day, you no longer measure yourself against other people. You measure yourself against your own discipline. You realize that while others are busy comparing, you are building. While others are distracted by competition, you are creating endurance. You're not just playing to win a moment, you're playing to win over time. And time is undefeated. It reveals who is real and who was just pretending. When you consistently show up, time becomes your ally. It works in your favor, it multiplies your effort, it magnifies your discipline. There's a difference between sprinting and enduring. Anyone can sprint. Anyone can put together a week of hard work. Anyone can post their effort online for a short time. But consistency requires a different kind of strength. It demands that you keep going when no one is clapping. It asks you to wake up and do it again, even when it feels like nothing is changing. It challenges you to persist when others have given up. And slowly, without you even realizing it, your persistence starts to create separation. While others are fading, you're still here. While others are taking breaks, you're still moving. While others are done, you're just getting started. That is the moment when you stop competing with them, because there is no competition left. Consistency turns life into a test of patience. Who can endure the longest? Who can stay committed the deepest? Who can withstand the boredom, the grind, the repetition, the silence? That's why most people quit, because they confuse slow progress with no progress. They get impatient with the process. They want results in days, not in years. But when you're consistent, you understand that small progress compounds. You know that even if the growth isn't visible, it's happening. You trust the process because you've committed to the process. And that trust is what gives you power. It frees you from the illusion of competing because you're not chasing quick wins. You're building something permanent. The truth is, consistency is what eliminates competition because most people simply won't keep up. They'll fall back. They'll get distracted. They'll make excuses. They'll wait for the right moment. And while they're waiting, you're working. While they're hesitating, you're moving forward. While they're stopping, you're still going. That's why consistent people are dangerous. They're not faster. They're not stronger. They're not smarter, but they are relentless. They are the last ones standing. And in a world full of sprinters, the one who keeps running becomes the monster everyone underestimated. When you show up every day, you build momentum that others can't match. Momentum is invisible at first, but it becomes undeniable with time. Each day adds a brick. Each effort adds a layer. Each repetition adds weight. Eventually, the wall you've built is so strong and so high that nobody can climb it. People who once thought they were competing with you realize they can't even see you anymore. You've outlasted them. You've outpaced them. You've become untouchable, not because you were born different, but because you stayed when they left. Commitment to consistency changes the way you view success. You stop caring about quick comparisons and you start valuing endurance. You stop needing validation from others and you start taking pride in your ability to stay disciplined. You begin to realize that the true reward is not beating someone else. It's becoming the kind of person who doesn't quit. That identity shift is powerful. It's what separates temporary effort from permanent transformation. You no longer see yourself as someone chasing goals. You see yourself as someone who lives in the process. And the process will always outlast the competition. Consistency sharpens you in ways talent never could. Talent gets tired. Talent gets distracted. Talent waits for motivation. But consistency doesn't wait. It acts. It builds discipline into your bones. It teaches you resilience through repetition. It makes you immune to the ups and downs of emotions. Because when you've made a commitment to show up daily, your actions are no longer dependent on feelings. They're anchored in discipline. And discipline outlasts every obstacle. Every time you show up, you gain something that others lose. They lose ground while you gain momentum. They lose confidence while you build it. They lose belief while you strengthen yours. Eventually, the gap between you and them becomes unbridgeable. Not because you ran faster, but because you never stopped running. That's how you outlast. That's how consistency transforms you from being just another competitor into becoming a force that others can't keep up with. Consistency is also the quiet equalizer. It doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter if you have fewer resources, less experience, or smaller beginnings. If you're consistent, time will elevate you beyond the people who started ahead of you but quit along the way. Because talent without consistency stalls. Opportunity without consistency fades. But consistency without talent still wins in the end because it refuses to die. That's the power of showing up every day. You eventually wear down the obstacles. You eventually outlast the competition, and you eventually become the only one left standing. The deeper you commit to showing up daily, the more unshakable you become. Challenges still come, setbacks still hit, failures still sting. But none of them stop you. Because consistency has built resilience into your identity. You don't crumble when things get hard because you've been here before and you'll be here again. You've trained yourself not to run from difficulty, but to walk straight through it. That mindset alone is what puts you in a different category from everyone else. You're not competing anymore. You're surviving, you're enduring, you're thriving through sheer persistence. And the longer you do it, the more the transformation becomes visible. People who used to doubt you start asking how you did it. People who used to compete with you start realizing they can't keep up. People who used to overlook you start to recognize your strength. But by then, you're not even thinking about them anymore. You're too focused on the process, too anchored in the discipline, too committed to showing up again tomorrow. And that's when you've truly outlasted everyone. You've become the person who no longer needs to compare because consistency has already made you untouchable. What do you think about this video? Tell me in the comments.